Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in Nah, we streaming.
Testing, testing.
Do it open? No. You want some?
I mean, if it
Man,
didn't
it's
mess up the screen.
Nah, I ain't mess up the stream. It just the sound got cut out. Well, she finna go out there and minister to somebody? Got that spirit of Beelzebub out there. Not the one that they talking Jesus had on, but nah. Q&A, question and answers. Questions pertaining to the Bible. We are a Bible study class where we try to answer the Bible according to scriptures the best of our ability. Whatever questions you may have that I'm not able to answer, nor is this brother able to give his comment on, we'll definitely see for counseling. With that being said, whoever has the first question, we do not have anything in-house. Step up to the mound and present thy cause.
What does the Lord say defines adultery?
Hold on, you gotta talk that through the mic. Oh, you know what though? We got two mics. But we need some batteries for this mic.
Bless Sabbath, everybody. My question is, what defines adultery? We have family, marriage couples that think you got to sleep with someone to do adultery, but I remember reading, the Lord said if you look upon someone, you already committed adultery in your eye. So let's say, for example, in this brought in text in this day, let's say the husband or the wife goes out of town, the spouse, they come under temptation of being their own selves or whatever the case may be, whatever the battles they having, and they go look at some porn or go join a website where you can meet other people, exchange conversations, change pictures, whatever the scenario is, but never link up though. They never meet up, but she just or he just satisfy themselves lustfully without linking up with the person. Would that still be considered adultery? If you're married to someone, but in your heart and your gesture, your behavior is pointing this way, would that be considered adultery, or would that just be lasciviousness or something?
Good question. Oh, I'm glad you tuned in. Okay, let's go and look at what so adultery is the act of another man sleeping with another man's wife. That is adultery. Let's go look at the commandment. Exodus 20. Because a married man can never commit adultery only if he sleeps with another married man's wife. All right. Other hand, a woman, she can't sleep with a single man because she's married. She's the possession. So therefore, so what if the man is single? She's married. See, it doesn't go both ways. It's not so what if the man is married, but the woman is single. Is that adultery? No. Because she's single. She doesn't belong to anyone. But the woman being married, what if the man is single? Is it still the same case as adultery? Yes. It's because the woman belongs to a man. Therefore, if she slept with a single man, that's the act of adultery. And I'll repeat this again. It is not the act of adultery when a married man sleeps with a single woman. That is not adultery. What that is fornication. All right? So let's look at the commandment. Let's look at the commandment because the question was asked, a man, married, wife, leave, look at some porn, look at a website, want to link up with somebody, and it doesn't happen, and they just lust within their mind, but don't go through with the act. Is that adultery? Exodus 20, and let's read verse 12. Well, you know what? Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's read the commandment in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 5. Deuteronomy chapter 5. And let's pick it up at Deuteronomy 5 and 17. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not kill, neither shalt thou commit adultery, neither shalt thou steal, neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor.
So we see is that neither shalt thou kill, steal, lie on thy neighbor, or commit adultery, right? Look at the next commandment because it's going to kind of somewhat go into detail as to this adultery. And not only that, as to what I was just saying, far as in the matter of relations, how is adultery committed? What is saying in verse 21?
Neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife.
Thy neighbor's who?
Thy neighbor's wife.
So not thou shalt not desire thy neighbor's husband. It says neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house.
Go ahead.
His field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's.
So we see is that you're not supposed to be coveting over thy neighbor's possessions. You know, my next door neighbor got a beautiful wife, got a big house, got a nice car. I'm not supposed to be sitting there coveting over his house, car, nor his wife. Why? It's because that's his wife. She belongs to him. That would be on the lines of adultery if we went all the way to the level of lying with each other. Let's go in here in Matthew real quick. Let's go and read, pertaining to what Jesus was getting at. I need to stop messing with my nose. It look like I'm picking my nose. Matthew chapter 5. Because, we got to understand is that a lot of this stuff, it starts right here within the mind. Jesus did say something very key, very, very key. And it's very factual as to what he's going to say right here. Matthew chapter 5, and let's look at 20, I want to say 20, are you going to switch back? Yeah, 28. Matthew chapter 5, start at verse 27, though. Go ahead. Stop drinking that water like that, too.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time,
Go ahead.
thou shalt not commit adultery.
So look at what we're talking about. We're talking about the act of adultery, right? We just law in the law that you're not supposed to commit adultery, all right? Because that's what Jesus is referring to. Ye have said of them in old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. Go ahead. Can you hold on for a second? Can you do something with that bottle of water, please? Have a seat. Go ahead, bro.
But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Hey, let's hold our finger right here. Let's go over here to Deuteronomy 22. I forgot to read that. We're going to come back to Matthew chapter 5. Just drink the water, man. You ain't got to squeeze the bottle. You ain't got to do any of that, Micah. Just drink the water. It's just that noise that you're making with the bottle, though, son. Just drink it. That's it. Deuteronomy 22. And let's pick it up at 22. Go ahead.
If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die.
You see that? If a man found, hold on for 1 second. Take that bottle from him, please. It don't matter. Just take it. All right, go ahead and start from the top again, bro. Top of 22. Go ahead.
If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die.
Mm-hmm.
Both the man that lied with the woman and the woman, so shall thou put away evil from Israel.
You see that it says, if a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lied with the woman and the woman. What is saying 23 though?
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife.
His neighbor's what?
His neighbor's wife.
That's the act of adultery. He has humbled his neighbor's wife. Betrothed. They have made vows to be together. Just because, you know, they haven't physically laid with each other, but they've made vows. Verbal commitment. That's what betrothed is meaning. So they made a verbal commitment to be with each other, which will make them husband and wife. Technically, when you look at Joseph and Mary, you know, the father supposedly of Jesus, you know, Mary, the mother of Jesus, they wasn't laid together physically, they was betrothed, you know, which made them husband and wife. But we see right here is that, hey, the woman was betrothed, the neighbor humbled the brother humbled his neighbor's wife. Now they both got to be stoned to death. All right. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. Let's go over to Deuteronomy 24 now. Deuteronomy 24. And now let's pick up on verse 1. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1. Go ahead, bro.
When a man had taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he had found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house.
Go ahead.
And when she is departed and out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
So she may go and be another man's wife. What we building right here is the foundation of what adultery is. Adultery is the act of a man lying with a married woman. You got a comment to that?
What type of uncleanliness did he find in her? Or what
We'll keep reading it. Yeah, Will's gonna keep reading it. But what we looking at the fact of, what adultery is. Adultery is when another woman sleeps with a man and that woman is already married to a man. That's where we're looking at and identifying what adultery is. So we're gonna continue to cover this matter and go all the way into the original question. Is it the case when a married man is looking at some porn or whatever the case is and don't go all the way through with the act of committing the adultery? We're going to realize, was he committing adultery or was he doing something else? Keep reading though. What else is saying in verse 2? I'm sorry, did you read verse 2?
Yeah, we at top 3.
Read verse 2 again.
And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
Uh-huh.
And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it to her in her hand and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband would send her away, but not take her again to be his wife. After that she is defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
Go ahead.
When a man have taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war.
That's it on that. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 22. Let's try to kill two birds with one stone. Deuteronomy 22, and now let's pick it up because the question was, well, what does it mean? He found some uncleanliness in it. Deuteronomy 22, and let's pick it up at let's pick it up at 14. Go ahead. And give occasion of speech against I'm sorry. Start at 13.
Okay. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
I found her not a virgin. Hey, he went into her. He thought she was a virgin, but come to find out she wasn't a virgin. In that case, that could be considered, unclean. But let's keep reading because in this case, it's talking about an evil report or a false accusation brought up on this woman. So let's keep going. Though. What does it say?
Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he hath given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughters a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginities. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city.
Go ahead.
And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days.
So in this case, he brought up an evil accusation on the woman saying that she wasn't a virgin when she really was. But what he was trying to do is get out of the marriage. So in Deuteronomy 24, it could have fell this way, or it could have been some form of other uncleanliness. I'm not really sure. So I don't know exactly 100% what Deuteronomy 24 was referring to, as far as he found some uncleanliness in her, but it could have been, something pertaining to this, as far as in he going into her and found out that she's not a maid. That can be some form of uncleanliness because he thought one thing and that wasn't the case. So he was able to get a bill of divorce. Kind of like it could be along the grounds. I'm not saying that, Leah was unclean to Jacob, but something similar to on the grounds of that is what Laban did to Jacob by tricking him into marrying Leah. That was the older sister. He wanted to marry Rachel. He was tricked into marrying Leah. So he had the right to step away from that because of the fact that that wasn't the agreement. The agreement was for Rachel, but he kept the agreement and still married her anyhow and married Rachel also. So it could be something, along those lines, but I'm not saying that's the case 100%. It's just that I don't know exactly, the uncleanliness that Deuteronomy 24 was all that we're referring to, but it could be some form of she wasn't a virgin when he came into her. I know that could be on the table, but is that all the way what the conversation is saying? I don't fully know. But let's go over to this Matthew chapter 5. You get your thumb out your mouth, Zerdy? Thank you. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5 now. Matthew chapter 5, and now let's pick it back up at 26. Matthew chapter 5 and 26. Go ahead and read, bro.
Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
So we just read some of what was written in the old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. What is saying 28 though?
But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
So we talking about, me looking at Jay's wife and lusting after her. I'm not saying that's the case, but you heard what I said, right? Jay's wife. So in this sense, can you see? They kind of all right, y'all gotta excuse me. We got our kids in here. They could be a little distracting every now and then. Next, just send him to take a nap. That's close good enough. But just, if you don't be quiet, just make him go lay his little behind. All right, but so 28 says, but I say unto you that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart. You gotta realize a single woman and a single man, like, how can you commit the act of adultery if you look at her? You should be lusting after her. But what I'm saying is, how can adultery be committed if she has no covenant with the man and he has no covenant with the woman? Even though adultery wouldn't be the case if, he was looking up on her and she was single. Because you gotta realize Jesus is getting at, if you are looking at another man's wife, that is you committing the act of adultery. So keep reading though. What else is saying in verse 29?
And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should. It is profitable for thee if one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
You see that? So it's better for you to just cast that thought away. Because if you're going to keep those thoughts, that same thought is going to take you to hell. The very same thought. So it's better for you to just, cast off that eye or cast off that arm. And it's not talking about literally your arm and eyes. It's talking about those thoughts. Because it says what? If thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of the members should perish, and not the whole body should be cast into hell. What is it saying in verse 30?
And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
31.
It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement.
We just read that in Deuteronomy 24, right? But look at what Jesus is getting at pertaining to that very matter as to what we read in Deuteronomy 24. Go ahead, 32.
But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication,
Go ahead.
causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery.
So if you putting away your wife for no cause, hey, I didn't cook a good meal today, or I've been slacking on keeping the house clean. You know, you get fed up. You put a bill of divorcement in her hand. Guess what? You've caused her to commit adultery and the individual, and not only that, yourself. Because she's the adulterer and you're the adulterer and she's the adulteress. Why? Is because you just put her away for no reason other than fornication. So you got to realize, give me 1 second. So you got to realize, like, you've just caused the woman to be an adulteress and you an adulteress because you put her away for no cause. The only way she can be put away for is the act of fornication. Is because she went outside the covenant and laid with another man. But that's what Jesus is getting at. He's talking about, you know, you looking on a married woman and lust after. You've committed the act of adultery. Because along what we reading right here in Matthew chapter 5, we're talking about marriage. We're talking about divorce decrees. We're talking about putting away. Like, this is what Jesus is getting at. You looking on a woman that's married, you've committed the act of adultery. But you don't want to be lusting after a single woman, period. Let's go over to James real quick. James, because you laying up looking at porn, like the brother said, lasciviousness. That's what you'll be dealing with. Before we go to James, let's go to James. You'll be dealing with the act of lasciviousness, which is unclean in the eyes of God because of the fact that your thoughts, brothers and sisters, have to be all the way in subjection to the ways of God. They got to. This is where it started. It started right here in the mind. That's how the devil gets you. The devil gets you right here in the mind. You know what I mean? Because look at what we finna read over here in this James. James chapter 1. And let's pick it up at James chapter 1 and verse, you know what? Hold on. James chapter 2. Hold on.
You're gonna pass it on to me.
James. Dude, I know it's in 1. Let me see. Bless the man. Yeah, James chapter 1 and verse 12. James chapter 1 and verse 12. Go ahead and read it, bro.
Blessed is the man that endureth temptation.
Go ahead.
For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him.
You see that? Hey, the Lord said he gonna give you a crown of life if you able to endure temptation, right? What it say in 13 though?
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God.
So let no man say when he is tempted that I am tempted of God. Go ahead.
For God cannot be tempted with evil.
Go ahead.
God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man.
So he ain't gonna tempt no man with evil because God has no darkness in him at all. But look at what it's saying in 14 though. Go ahead.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust
Of
and
his
enticed.
own what?
Of his own lust and enticed.
Of his own lust and enticed. You know, the example, my teacher that I used to always use, which I think is a great example. You know, hey, we out and about. We ain't finna be turning our heads, men, at a half-dressed man walking down the street. We're not finna be turning our heads like, man, you seen that, brother? Like, no, heck no. We finna be like, we finna be like, man, if you don't put some clothes on, like, what the heck are you doing, dude? You know, we might throw some hot water on them or something crazy. Like, man, get the heck from around us. But let a half-dressed woman walk by. everybody gonna be turning their head. Hey, boy, you don't see? Just because of the fact of like, now we drawn in our own lust. Meaning, that's what we lust after. It's not what God is putting in front of you. It's what your mind is lusting after. So it says, but every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust and enticed. What it say in 15?
Then when lust has conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
Go ahead.
Do not err, my beloved brethren.
Do not err, my beloved brother. Let's go over to Galatians now. Because you got to realize it's what's right here within the mind. Before we go to Galatians, let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs. Damn, okay. You might be there. Let's see. 24. Proverbs 24. Then we're going to come back to Galatians. Galatians 6, I think I'm going to. Anyhow, Proverbs 24. And let's read one verse here. Proverbs 24. And we read verse 29. Proverbs 24 and verse 9. Go ahead.
Verse 9.
Yeah, I thought I said 29, but I didn't say 9.
The thought of the foolish is sin.
So the thought of foolishness is sin. You see that? Like even the thoughts, you know, hey, you got to keep these thoughts under control. Keep reading.
And the scorner is an abomination to men.
You see that? So even these thoughts, let's go to Matthew 5 real quick. These thoughts got to be pure. Because you got to realize, hey, Jesus is the one that see the inner man. He see the inner man. Yeah, you know, you hiding away, ducked in your house, dark in a secluded room. I'm way across town in my home. I can't see you. You know, it ain't my job to be trying to see you anyways. But sometimes we feel as if like, before we go, Matthew 5, let's go to Ecclesiastes 12. Ecclesiastes 12. You know, sometimes we feel as if like, you know, just because the people can't see what I'm doing is sin, I ain't really doing nothing wrong. But nah, we see is that the Bible says the thoughts of foolishness is sin. So look at what this Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and 14 says. Go ahead and read that, bro.
For God shall bring every work into judgment.
Keep reading.
With every secret thing.
With every what?
With every secret thing.
You see that? With every secret thing. He gonna bring it all into judgment. Whether it be of a secret thing or what else?
Whether it be good.
Go ahead.
Or whether it be evil.
You see that? God is gonna bring all of it into judgment. So you gotta realize he's the one that see the inner man. Right? So now let's go to this Matthew chapter 5. Because we see is that what? The thoughts of foolishness is sin. God don't tempt you with evil. You tempt yourself with evil when you drawn away in your own lust. So you got to realize like, hey, man, am I supposed to be sitting there watching porn? Nah, like, because eventually that's going to lead you down the line of, read this, Matthew chapter 5, and read verse, it ain't going to lead you down this line, but this is how you're supposed to be. Read verse 8, Matthew 5 and 8, go ahead.
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
You pure at heart, meaning you pure within the mind, because what? All you got is the ways of God right here. So your thoughts is pure at heart. The Bible said you're going to see God. So you got to realize, like, you got these thoughts. You don't have to fully manifest them. You know, they could be right here, and all you could be thinking about is, you know, undressing another man's wife with your mind. That's lust. You know, look at this. Go over to Galatians real quick. You lusting. You know, lusting, it'll get you cut off. Look at what Paul said pertaining to, you know, the works of the flesh. Look at what the works of the flesh can, you know, cut you out of the opportunity of receiving. Galatians chapter 5, let's read. Let's go right to it. Read verse 19. Go ahead.
Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these:
Go ahead.
adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness.
You see that? Lasciviousness, adultery, fornication, uncleanliness. You know, these are all sexual immoralities that's against God. So, you know, hey, she could have been unclean, what we read in Deuteronomy 24, because she probably was playing the harlot. You know, and the husband found out and he gave her a bill of divorcement. You know, that could have been the category when you look at her being put away because of her uncleanliness. But just to give you a direct answer on it, you know, I don't really know it, but I know it's a lot of different categories that can fall in the realm of breaking a covenant with the man and the woman because of their uncleanliness. One could be somebody done came in that and she deceiving the husband thinking that she was so pure. And he found out that ain't the case. You misled me. I don't want you as my wife anymore. Here's the decree. But look at this right here though. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness. Let's look at this definition on lasciviousness, and look at what I seen it. We gonna come to you. I see you boss. What's this? Lasciviousness. Lasciviousness. It says, inclined to lustfulness, wanting, lewd, a lascivious girl chasing old men, you know, unrestrained sexual behavior, or a habitual inclination to such behavior, lustful, you know. They celebrated their victory with an orgy, you know. So it's a strong desire, you know, of something sexual. You know, that's what lasciviousness is. We know that fornication is, you know, sex not being married. You know, you got two single individuals and they just sleeping with each other. You know, that's fornication. But in the Bible, fornication is very broad because you got sodomy that fall under fornication. You got bestiality that falls under fornication. You got, you know, woman on woman fall under fornication. Like, fornication is very broad. When you even got spiritual, you know, can be along the lines of fornication. And in some cases, spiritual is adultery. You know, kind of what Israel did with God. But we see is that Paul is saying what? The works of the flesh are manifested, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness. What is saying 20?
Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God.
You see that? You're not getting into the kingdom of God if you sitting up thinking about pornographic images, you know, when you supposed to be pure at heart, which is them thoughts. Like, you ain't got God on your mind. You got on your mind undressing a young woman, being a man, or a woman undressing a man. Like, that's what's on your mind, you know, but we not supposed to be operating like that. Let's read one more place and this would be it. Romans chapter 13. Romans chapter 13. And let's read Romans 13 and pick it up at pick it up at 8. Romans 13 and 8. Go ahead, bro.
owe no man anything, but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
So look at what, you fulfilling the law when you love somebody. Verse 9.
For this thou shalt not commit
You
adultery.
see that? Thou shalt not commit adultery. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Verse 10.
Love worketh no ill to his neighbor.
You see that? Love don't work no ill to his neighbor. It ain't no ill towards your neighbor when you ain't planning and strategizing on, creeping in his back door to sleep with his wife when he take off to go to work. It ain't no ill in that. Not wanting to do that. It ain't no ill in not wanting to kill your neighbor. Ain't no ill in, not lying on your neighbor. Ain't no ill in that. That's all love. But keep reading. What else to say? We should have had that in the class today, but it's all good. Verse 11. Go ahead.
Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law.
You see that? Love is the fulfilling of the law. That's it on that. So, adultery, married man looking at porn, that's not adultery because he, I don't know who he looking at, who wife he could be looking at, or it might be a bunch of single women. But in that case, your thoughts supposed to be pure at mind. You know what I mean? The thoughts of foolishness is sin. So, in your mind, you lusting, you sinning, because what we just read in Galatians chapter 5, lasciviousness is a strong sexual act of lusting. Do you necessarily have to go physically in between the act? Nah, but them thoughts can get you cut off. So, with that being said, any comments? Got any comments? Sonnal, you ain't got nothing to add on that?
No, we on one accord.
Okay, praise the Lord. Anybody else? Anybody got comments to that? All right, well, let's go online real quick then. You had a question, Tiana? Okay. All right, let's go online. We got a question online. All right, so the YouTube question is, if you were born a bastard, does that prevent you from entering into the kingdom? Okay. I got you. Let's go to Ezekiel 18 real quick. If you were born a bastard, does that prevent you from entering into the kingdom? Ezekiel 18. And let's look at I think it's Ezekiel 18. Yep, Ezekiel 18, and let's read verse 4. Go ahead, bro.
Behold, all souls are mine.
Go ahead.
As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine.
Mm-hmm.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
The what?
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
The soul that sin is what's going to die. Right? We see is that the Bible says all souls belong unto God. Whether it be the soul of the Father, also the soul of the Son. They all belong unto God, right? Go ahead and read verse 5 for me.
But if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right, and hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither hath defiled his neighbor's wife, neither hath come near to a menstruous woman.
So understand what Ezekiel is saying in verse 5. God is speaking through the mouth of Ezekiel, and he has clearly said, but if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right. Now he's giving you examples of what is lawful and right. And he's laying it out, letting you know is that, hey, if you haven't eaten up on the mountains, meaning if you ain't on the mountains worshiping different idols, neither have lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither have defiled his neighbor's wife. Why is he still saying neighbor's wife? Because the woman is a possession. See, we got over here in the Western world, now we feel as if like the man is the possession. Nah, the woman is still the possession till this day. You know, a man cannot commit adultery on a single woman. That is not the case. But we just showing throughout the Bible is that the woman belongs to the man. This is when the line of adultery comes into the play because she don't step out of pocket, right? But we just looking at the fact that you didn't lie with another man's wife, right? Neither have come near a mistress woman, all right? Because you ain't sleeping with a woman when she on her fountain. That's unclean. Not only that, that's sin. Keep reading. What else to say? Verse 7.
And have not oppressed any, but have restored to the debtor his pledge, has spoiled none by violence, hath given his bread to the hungry, and have covered the naked with a garment.
Keep going.
He that hath not given forth upon usury, neither hath taken any increase, that hath withdrawn his hand from iniquity.
You see that? Had withdrawn his hand from iniquity. Hey, if you was a bastard or you was born without a father, hey, like you being born without a father, okay, but cool. If you decide to do what was lawful and right in the eyes of God, that excludes the fact of you entering into the kingdom. Yeah, we can go and look in the law, and it'll tell you about, hey, if you're a bastard, you can't enter into the tabernacle. Location. Not talking about the kingdom that's going to be set up here on this earth. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about then when you had Levi, them doing the priest services of the Lord. That is not being applied to when the Lord come up and set up his kingdom here on this earth. You know, hey, if you make it into the first resurrection, you made it into the first resurrection because you decided to do this. You decide to keep hold of these commandments. You decide to keep your faith in Jesus Christ and lay hold of this word all the way in your mind until his coming. So if you decide to do that, you being born a bastard, that's not going to prevent you from getting up in the first resurrection. That's what we're reading right here in Ezekiel 18. It's saying like, hey, he that have not given forth upon usury, neither have taken any increase, that have withdrawn his hand from iniquity, have executed true judgment between man and man. 9.
Hath walked in my statutes, and hath kept my judgments, to deal truly. He is just. He shall surely live, saith the Lord God.
You're going to live. Now, we can look on the other side of the coin, because that's what's going to be read, about if you do everything contrary unto this. Let's just read it. Yeah, you know, hey, we ain't got nothing but time. Go ahead. Verse 10.
If he begot a son that is a robber, a shedder of blood, and that doeth the like to any one of these things, and that doeth not any of these duties, but even hath eaten upon the mountains and defiled his neighbor's wife, hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the pledge, and hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination, hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken increase. Shall he then live? He shall not live. He hath done all those abominations. All these abominations have done all. He hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him.
You see that? His blood gonna be upon him. Ain't gonna be no sacrifice for his sin. Nah. His own blood is gonna be upon himself. Because he don't went contrary every way of God. Now you ain't entering into the kingdom. You know. If you operating like this. What it say in verse 14?
Now lo, if he beget a son that seeth all his father's sins, which he hath done, and considereth, he doeth not such like.
You see that? He doeth not such like. You know, in your case, you don't know your father, but still though, you had a choice. In your choice, you could have walked in the path of wickedness, or you could have walked in the path of righteousness. I will advise you to walk in the path of righteousness. Hold on first. Stop letting them go through that door right there, please. No, they don't need to be going. They need to stay over there. All right, so excuse me on that, but you have to realize is that, you know, every man, you know, has his own war within the mind that he got to deal with. Let's go over there. She fine. She ain't nothing but a crier. She fine, yeah. That's what she is. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians real quick. I think it's in 1 Thessalonians. We're going to see. Philippians chapter 2. My bad. Philippians chapter 2. And let's read one verse here. Philippians chapter 2. And read verse 12 for me. Go ahead.
Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
You see that? You got to work out your own salvation, you know, with fear and with trembling. Because you got to realize, you know, every individual is gonna have to stand before God. You know, hey, you being born without a father, what you need to make sure you keep in mind is pressing forward towards holding on to these words of life. That's what you need to make sure you obtain. Because you got to realize is that, you know, the war is within yourself, you. So if you got these words, you the one that's going to stand before God in the day of judgment. Let's go and look at that in the law, though. Because, you know, you probably read that it's still cutting out. Huh, Jay? Is my mic still cutting in and out?
Oh, yeah, that was what I remember.
It's still doing it?
No, I didn't listen. I didn't listen. I turned it off when I came in. It was early, but you good. I ain't heard no complaints or seen no complaints.
We'll see. Let's go to let's go and read that in the law.
20.
Nah, I think it's in Deuteronomy. I think. Yeah, Deuteronomy 23. Deuteronomy 23 and pick it up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 1. Go ahead.
He that is wounded in the stones or has privy member cut off.
You know what that is, right? I mean, he wounded in the stones. Them stones is your, you know, I forgot the medical term for it, some noise or something. Them two stones that hang between your legs. It says, hey, he wounded in the stones and have his private member cut off. You know, the private member for a man would be what you got to get circumcised on the 8th day or circumcised period, you know. That's your private member. Cut off. Shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. You know, we're talking about a physical location here, right? Keep reading what it says in verse 2, though.
A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
You see that? Shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Keep going.
Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
So you got to realize, let's go over here to Matthew now. But before we go to Matthew, let's go to John chapter 1. John chapter 1. And I'm pretty sure this same setup going to be when the Lord set up his kingdom here on this earth. Like, it's still going to be the same case, you know, when his kingdom is established here, because you got to realize it's going to be patterned after what was already of the Old Testament. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. But in this instance, what we're dealing with, read this John chapter 1 and verse 17. Go ahead.
For the law was given by Moses.
You see that? The law was given by Moses, but what?
But grace and truth came by Jesus Christ.
You see that? Grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. So now we got a little wiggle room because we dealing with mercy now. You know, according to Moses, like, nah, it's a wrap. But since Jesus came, now we dealing with grace and truth. That's what we dealing with. Are we doing away with what was written pertaining to the law of Moses? No, because Jesus is the one that gave him that law. But, you know, due to certain circumstances, there's a little mercy that's going to be, you know, here and there. But we talking about the first resurrection. You know, that's what we hoping for, or that's what we pressing for. But let's look at this, though. Look at this on Matthew, I want to say 24. Not Matthew 24, Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Or it might be. I'll let you know when I find it. Hold on. Matthew 26. Matthew 26. And read. Hold on. It's 28, my bad. Matthew 28. And let's read. Let's read 46. Matthew 27 and 46. Let's start there. Go ahead.
And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
Go ahead.
That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
Keep going.
Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, This man calleth for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, let be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him.
Can you let us know if the mic cutting in and out, though? Okay, go ahead, bro.
Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost.
Where you at?
Oh, 50.
Okay, go ahead.
And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom.
You see that? The veil of the temple was rent in twain. The veil. This was the veil that the priest went behind to, you know, atone for the sins of man once a year. You know, this was the veil behind where you had the Ark of the Covenant. You know, that was the most holiest place. That was behind the veil. Well, guess what? That was ripped in two. So it says what? It says, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from top to the bottom. Go ahead.
And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent.
And the rocks rent. Go ahead.
And the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose.
That's it on that. Let's go over here to Romans now. Romans, I'll tell you in a second. You know, this is why, you know, we read that in John about Jesus came, grace and truth, right? My bad. 1 John, not Romans. 1 John. 1 John chapter 2. You know, this is why we read that. Let's check this out. 1 John chapter 2, let's read verse 1. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 1, go ahead.
My little children, these things write I unto you,
Go ahead.
that ye sin not.
That ye sin not, go ahead.
And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous.
You see that? We got an advocate. Jesus is our advocate. You know, I go between man, kind of like what Moses was. You know, he's our between man from man to the Father. He's our advocate sitting on the right hand of the Father advocating for us. Because what it say in verse 2?
And he is the proper petition for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world.
Verse 3.
And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his
You
commandments.
see how important it is to keep these commandments? It's very important. So you got to realize, Israel fight. Hey, you was a bastard or you was born without a father. Like, you got to realize. Shoot, there's a lot of daughters of Israel that's playing the harlot nowadays. Just look at the circumstances we was born under. You got to understand is that, you know, in the land, certain things occurred that wouldn't occur in our time in the land. It wouldn't have occurred. So in the case of, you know, what we read in Deuteronomy 23, you know, bastard isn't always the case of what we know of. Oh, he slept with the woman and she got pregnant and he left her. You know, in some cases, bastard casualties of war. The father, dad died in warfare. You know, that can somewhat fall in the lines of a bastard. But let's read some in Hebrews too. Hold on. Doesn't always, you know, but let's look at some over in Hebrews. Check this out, you know, because you got to realize, like, we not carnal, we spiritual, right? So look at this, Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews 12. I think it's 12. I'll tell you in a second. Yeah, Hebrews 12. And pick it up at pick it up at verse 5. Pick it up at 4. Go ahead.
Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin.
Mm-hmm.
And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children.
Go ahead.
My son, despise not thou that chastening of the Lord.
So don't despise the chastening of the Lord. Go ahead.
Nor faint when thou art rebuked of him.
You see that? So don't faint, meaning don't give in or don't give up. You know, when you rebuked of the Lord. Verse 6.
For whom the Lord loveth, he chastises, and scourges every son whom he
You
receiveth.
see that? So look at what he going to do to every son that he received. If he received you, he going to chastise you as a son. You know, the Lord going to knock you upside the head when you doing something out of pocket. All right? But what else to say? Verse 7.
If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons.
Go ahead.
For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?
You see that? You ain't no son that the Father don't chasten you. Look at what the writer of Hebrews is doing. He's kind of comparing, you know, spiritual to physical. You know, he's making a connection between how, you know, we should be treating our children, you know, our physical children. You know, they do something out of pocket, we chastise them. But if they do something out of pocket and we don't chastise them, look at how it's likening to the Lord when you do something out of pocket and he don't chastise you. What the next verse say, bro?
But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not
You
sons?
see that? You're bastards and not sons. Meaning like if you do something out of pocket contrary to the ways of God and he don't chastise you, guess what? He ain't no longer your spiritual father no more. You a bastard. You don't have a father spiritually. You know, but it's comparing it to, hey, how if my son, who I just sent to bed, if I don't chastise him when he act out of pocket, then he's considered a bastard because what I'm doing is I'm raising him up to be that son in Ezekiel chapter 18. That's what I'm raising him up to be. But now I'm going to chastise him because he my son. Guess what the Lord going to do to you? He going to chastise you because he look at you as a son from a spiritual sense. But if he don't chastise you, then you're a bastard. What it say in verse 9 though, bro?
Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirit and life?
You see that? And
live?
You see that? We got flesh and blood parents who don't chastise us. Right? They corrected us, and guess what? We reverence them, meaning they hit us with the rod and we straighten up. We reverence them. All right, we ain't gonna do it no more. You know, that's us reverencing them. Right? But then once we get chastised by God, you know what? We feel as if like we don't supposed to be in subjection. What the next verse say? Verse 10.
For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness.
You see that? He's chastening us for we can be partakers in his holiness. See, when our parents whoop us, hey, it's just for a moment. But look at what he's doing unto us when he chasing us. What's the next verse, bro?
Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous,
Go ahead.
but grievous.
It's very grievous. When you getting chastised, it don't feel good. It's grievous. But keep going, though.
Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of the righteousness unto them which are exercised thereof
You
thereby.
see that? When you chastised by the Lord, look at what he's doing. He's breaking you down and making you supposed to be producing better fruit. Oh, I ain't finna do that no more. The Lord just whooped my head.
Okay.
Nah, I'm not gonna produce no bad fruit in that department. I'm gonna turn that fruit into some good fruit. Because the Lord don't chasten you, But you got to realize if the Lord don't chasten you, you're a bastard. That's a scary position to be in. Because if you're a bastard, I mean, you without a spiritual father. So, you know, brother, hey, if you was born without a father, that does not prevent you from entering into the kingdom. All souls belong unto God. All of them. Hold on to your righteousness in the faith in Jesus Christ. Into that seventh trumpet. And you'll see. All right, what's up, Brother Griff? Who are the people in Israel today, and who are they descendants from? Okay, that's a good question. I think, man, this brother was talking about that on one Sabbath. Me and the brother that's reading. Let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 1. 1 Chronicles chapter 1. Hmm? Mm-hmm. You know what? Let's go to hold on for a second. I'm thinking here. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to 1 Chronicles. Let me see something. Do I want to go to 1 Chronicles? Yeah, let's go to 1 Chronicles, and then we'll go to Genesis 10. Then we'll go to Obadiah and some other places. And we're gonna get a whiteboard too for next. Lord willing, we'll have it for next Sabbath. Whiteboard, so we could just look at some things. I got a map too, man. I gotta get a better map because that one got torn all up a little bit. But get a map because we did a lesson some time ago about run Jacob into the wilderness, and we kind of mapped out where the wilderness is and who we're gonna be hiding amongst: Moab, Ammon, and Edom. Moab, Ammon, and Edom, and those locations are kind of like southeast of Jordan. You know, so we looked at those things on the map, and though that land, I don't recall right off the top of my head what that location is named today. But let's look at this 1 Chronicles chapter 1. 1 Chronicles chapter 1. And let's just jump right to 29. Hold on. Do I want to read 29? Nah, let's read. Hold on. Yeah. Let's read on Ishmael 33. They don't want all these other sons of the Torah. Let's start at 34. Go ahead. 1 Chronicles chapter 1 and 34. Go ahead.
And Abraham begot Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
The sons of Isaac, Esau and Israel.
Go ahead.
The sons of Esau, Eliphaz, Raul and Jeush,
Mm-hmm.
and Jalam and Korah.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Eliphaz, Teman and Omar, Zephi and Gatam, and Kizah and Kenaz and Timnah and Amalek.
We ain't got to read all that. Let's go now over to Genesis chapter 10. Because what we looked at, we just saw who came out of Isaac. Isaac came out of Abraham. So we just looking at from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob and Esau. They both came out of Isaac, right? But not one time has Esau ever been called Hebrew in the Bible. He's always been its location. See it. All right. But let's look at this Genesis chapter 10 real quick. Genesis chapter 10, because we're going to see something in Genesis 10. We're going to see in the table of nations here in Genesis 10, who came out of Japheth. We ain't going to look at who came out of Ham and Shem. We're just looking at Japheth because some Jews, they call themselves this today. All right. So Genesis chapter 10, let's read verse 1. Go ahead, bro.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and until them who were sons born after the flood.
Go ahead.
The sons of Japheth.
So these are the sons of Japheth. Go ahead.
Gomer and Magog.
So Magog would be Turkey today. Gomer. Go ahead.
And Madai and Javan.
Javan, I think, is Greece. But these are all Gentile nations, white people, right? Keep reading though.
And Tubal and Meshach and Tiras.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Gomer.
So pay attention to the sons of Gomer. What's the first son?
Ashkenaz.
So Ashkenaz, you have some Ashkenazi Jews, right? But are they of the seed of Esau? No, because we just read some of the children of Esau. We didn't see Ashkenaz in there. We saw, Esau and Elias and whatever the names that we saw in 1 Chronicles chapter 1. We did not see Ashkenaz as being of the seed of Esau. So who is Ashkenaz? Ashkenaz is the seed of Japheth or Japheth. Keep reading. What else it says? Ashkenaz.
And Repath.
Go ahead.
And Togomah.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim.
That's it on that. Now let's go over here to Psalms 83. Because you got to realize, we're going to get to who over there as well. We're going to go to Obadiah after Psalms 83. In Psalms 83, you had nations that became confederate against Israel. And these nations that became confederate, for the most part, a lot of them was Shemitic. They all came out of Shem. But the one that we paying close attention to is verse 6. But let's read verse 3. Go ahead.
They had taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Keep going.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from the being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Verse 6.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom. Go ahead.
And the Ishmaelites of
ahead.
Moab.
Go ahead.
And the Hargarines.
That's it on that. We see that.
And the Hagarines.
The tabernacles of Edom, right? Let's go over here to Obadiah now. Because, Brother Griff, we just building the case of who is and who isn't. All right? We just saw is that in Genesis 10, who came out of Japheth? Ashkenaz. He was the son of, I think, either Tubal or Javan. But we know is that T-Man came out of Esau, according to 1 Chronicles chapter 7. All right? So now let's look at, because like the brother was saying, we saw Ashkenaz, we got some ones that converted. They just converted to our ways. So what they did was, they slickly moved into the land way before the 1948 British Mandate. They did it a few times. They moved in right when we got moved out of the land and was taken into captivity. Esau came up and went into our land. So let's look at Obadiah real quick because, the prophet Obadiah is going to expound on that a little bit. And then we're going to go and look in Revelations and try and pinpoint out who is and who isn't. All right? So Obadiah, only one book anyways. Let me find it. Obadiah, pick it up at verse. Go ahead and start at 1 and we're going to jump around. Because we're going to look at a few names the Lord identified, Obadiah as, or Edom. I'm sorry, not Obadiah. Identifies Edom as. Obadiah 1:1. Go ahead.
The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen.
So we know is that Edom and Japheth didn't come out the same lineage, or Ashkenaz and Edom didn't come out of the same nation. Ashkenaz came out of Japheth. Edom came out of Shem. Two different nations, all right? We dealing with Edom in the book of Obadiah. Keep reading. What else it say?
Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
Go ahead.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
Thou art greatly despised. Keep reading.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee.
Go ahead.
Thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high.
Go ahead.
That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
Now, we're not talking about literally in the clefts of the rocks. We're talking about this pride. Or we're talking about right here within the mind, because that's why I said, what? He saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? We talking about right here in the mind. You will put yourself on cloud 9 mentally, saying to yourself, who gonna bring me back down to earth? What it say in verse 4?
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Skip down to verse, read verse 5. Go ahead.
If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they haven't had enough?
Go ahead.
If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?
They would. The thief, he ain't gonna just, not all. He can't just, clean house all the time, because he got such a short time. The people might return back home. But the Lord is likening it to what you did to Israel, though. Us, your brother. That's what he's getting at. See, he's saying, hey, the grape gatherers, man, they can't grab every grape in the vineyard. They can't grab every single grape. Nah, they can't. They gonna get enough to suffice them. That's what they're gonna do. A thief, he's gonna not try to steal the whole house and wipe it clean, because he know he on the clock. He know he gotta watch out looking for somebody to return home. So he's gonna get the things that are necessary, but not eat them. Look at what the next verse say. Go ahead, verse 6.
How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?
Go ahead.
I'm
sorry, did you read all of it? Yeah, you read all of that. Verse 7.
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border.
Go ahead.
The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau?
Look at what this say. Look at what this next verse say. Verse 9. Go ahead.
And thy mighty men, O T-men.
Oh, who?
O T-men.
Oh, T-men. We just saw that in 1 Chronicles chapter 7. We dealing with Esau right now. What we got scattered over there is some of Esau and some of those converted Jews, Kaisars, or they even call them some of that. But even the ones that's over there, even Esau is a convert. They not the people. But keep going though. What else to say?
Shall be destroyed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
You see that? They're going to be cut off. We talking about the nation. Going to be cut off. Keep reading verse 10.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
Go ahead.
In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that thy strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them.
You see that? Esau was as one of them. That's what we read in that Psalms 83. We didn't read all of it. But Edom, our brother, became confederate with these other nations to take us into captivity so that our names can be no longer remembered. Now, once we was taken out into captivity, Edom crept in our land, and now they want to save the Jews of that. No, that is not the case. Keep reading, though, brother. What else it say? Verse
But
12.
thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Go ahead.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity.
Go ahead.
Nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Lay hand on their what?
On their substance in the day of their
You
calamity.
see that? They laid hold on our substance. But keep going. What is saying 14?
Neither should thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape.
You see that? They stood in the way. Oh, they over there high. Get them. Oh, they over there up under the house. Get them. You know, that's what our brother was doing when we got caught up in the crossway. Keep reading. What else to say, bro?
Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress.
Keep reading.
For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head.
You see that? Thy reward is going to return up on thy own head. Skip down to 18 and read that for me.
And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it.
Keep reading.
And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim.
Skip
And,
down to verse 21 and read that.
and saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau.
That Savior we talking about is Jesus, and not only Jesus, his saints. All right, but keep going though. What else is that?
And the kingdom shall be the Lord's.
Let's go over to Revelations now. Revelations 13. Revelations 13. And let's read. Seven heads. Hold on for a second. Dragon's power. My bad, not 13. Revelations 11. Revelations 11. Before we read this, hold on for a second. See, I don't even think. Well, let's read it. Go ahead. Revelation chapter 11 and start at verse 1. Go ahead.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, the altar, and them that worship therein.
Go ahead.
But the court which without the temple leave out,
Go ahead.
and measure it not.
So the court that's without the temple, leave out for what?
For it is given unto the Gentiles.
So it's given to the Gentiles. It's talking about when the Pope come and sit on the throne and consider himself to be God. You know, that's what's given unto them. So you got to realize those Jews over there right now that is building this third temple, that temple that they building is set up for the Gentile who's going to come over there and sit on their throne and consider himself to be God. Because you got to realize those Jews over there, they're not looking for a savior to be born. They're looking for a man. You know, they're not looking for a baby. They're looking for a man that's going to be considered or call himself God. And we know that to be the religious leader of Rome, the Pope. You know, he's going to come over there and stop the animal sacrifice, and then they're going to place the abomination that make it desolate in this particular area that the Lord said, leave that part and cut it out, for that is given unto the Gentiles. Well, that is given unto the Gentiles for this man to sit on that throne and magnify his seat and all hell is gonna break loose. So, them people that's over there right now, some are, let's go to Isaiah real quick. Some are, we'll finish up verse 2. Go ahead.
And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 and 2 months.
So they're going to tread. I think my family be forgetting that. We be. Yeah, this time frame is going to be during the Great Tribulation. Let's go over to what did I just say?
I kind of lost it too.
Let's go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah, because the people that are over there right now, with my eye, to just pinpoint who is Edom, I ain't gonna say I have a hard time. I just never tried it. But I can say who fits the mold, though. You got some people who are building a temple to their God for the third temple, and they looking for a Messiah. They're not looking for a Messiah to be born. They're looking for a man. So now when you look at the man that's going to fit the script, he has 666, which means vicariously die, which means the vicar of Christ or the replacement of Christ on this earth. That's who they're going to take and place him there. So you got people building the third temple. They fit the mold because they don't believe in the Messiah. They don't believe in the fact that he already came. That's not what they believe in. So you have those that call themselves Jews, Edom. Some of them fit the mold. Then you got some of them that call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. They are Gentiles. They are white people who converted. There's no such thing as an Ashkenazi Jew. No, there's no such thing. But let's look at this Isaiah 6, not Isaiah 6, Isaiah 34. Isaiah 34. I think it's Isaiah 34. Ignition armies. Yeah, Isaiah 34. And let's pick it up at verse 4. Go ahead, bro.
And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll.
So we're looking at the coming of the Lord. Keep reading.
And all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth from the vine, and as the falling fig from a fig tree.
Keep going.
For my sword shall be bathed in heaven.
Keep reading.
Behold it, shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment.
So the people of his curse is Idumea. That's what we just got finished reading. What? Obadiah. But keep reading. What is saying, verse 6?
The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. Mm-hmm. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of kidneys of rams.
So we're looking at a sacrifice. Esau, Idumea, he going to be called another name in these next verses. He going to be a sacrifice or an atonement for the sins of the people. The nation of Edom gonna be made a sacrifice or an atonement for the sins of the world. Keep going. What else to say?
For the Lord has sacrificed in Boraz.
You see that?
Bozrah.
Go ahead.
And a great slaughter in the land of Idumea.
You see that? A great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Keep reading.
And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls.
So we ain't talking about no unicorns, really. We just talking about sacrifice. You know what I mean? They're going to be sacrificed, so they're going to be made an atonement for the sins of the world. So, You know, bro, I can just kind of put people that hand fit the glove. You know what I mean? But you know, the ones that call themselves Ashkenazi Jews, those are people who converted. They not Edom or Esau. You know, Edom are the people who building this temple. You know, they building this temple for their Messiah, which is gonna be the Pope of Rome. So that's kind of all I got on that. Anybody got a comment? No comment?
I mean, I do got a comment.
Gotta grab the mic.
What up, Israel again? Comment. So the Esau that we know that's going Adumeh is gonna be sacrificed for our sins in Obadiah or for the Day of Atonement. They also say what the book say that Esau kind of mixed in with Ishmael. He went into the daughters of Ishmael and like a lot of people get confused, a lot of Israelites, of course, street rules and so forth, they get Esau confused with the Gentiles. See, the Ashkenazi Jews would be so for the Gentiles, the converted Jews. Hint, the ones Adolf Hitler pretty much killed off. Those are mostly all the converted Jews. Esau wasn't even in that affliction. Esau was in the cut. He dealt with like West Africa. He was in between Moab and Ammon, pretty much on the outskirts of Israel. So it was pretty easy for Esau to plot on us and like know our whereabouts, because he even saying somewhere in the Bible, we were just reading that Esau mingled with Israel for a little while, and that's how we got into the paganism and the idolatry of Esau and started mixing in. Now, I don't know how true this is, but they said King Herod was an Esau portraying to be king of the Jews. I don't know how true that is, but
yeah, I tried to find that. I couldn't really find it. I heard the same thing. I couldn't really find it. I know that Saul under Hitch, man, the dude who was who was like Saul, Donad, whatever his name is. He was an Edomite, and he the one who, you know, Saul ordered some men to go in and kill the priest of God. They wouldn't do it, but he went and did it. He asked him to do it. He went in there and murked all of the priests of God, and he was an Edomite. But yeah, I don't, you know, like I was saying, I know who hand fit the glove, but you know, to just say pinpoint, I don't, you know, because I haven't tried to. That's the only reason why. You know, them Khazars and Ashkenazi Jews, they ain't nothing but white people. Japhet, who converted. That's it. You know, Edom, he just an imposter. That's all. He ain't even who he say he is. That's what Obadiah was saying. You know, but yeah, we dealt with a class on that. Yeah, you go check out the class. The class was just dealing with who Israel is and who the Jew is. You know, that's what the class was really about, mainly about. You know what I mean? I think we did a class like that, you know, probably a little over a month ago. But it's going into the history. But it just shows you who Israel is, and it just eliminates the who ain'ts. You know, that's what it does. So, yep. So. Your wife pulled off. Ask her if she got any questions, because she usually have questions. You ain't got nothing, Sonnal? We do know, though, that, you know, Esau is not white, man. Let's go and read that, because he said something who Esau went and slept with. Let's go to Genesis real quick.
That's why he played with Moab so well. Moab is like the ancient Palestinians or something, right?
Moab, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
They try to say he's an Asian, but I think he's Palestinian. Moab was too close to Israel and aiming like, nah, that look like Ishmael down there.
Yeah, and you said
You kind of see the
you said the Asians.
I say that's what I
That's what they say.
Yeah, I can't agree with that. That's what I'm looking
I can't agree with it either.
Because I'm looking at how Israel, we northern, and we got Esau to the right of us, and we got Moab right under them. And you got to think about it. Abraham populated the earth, he's the father of many nations. Yeah, he's the son of Ishmael, he's the son of Isaac, and he's the son of Esau. So, like, I mean, the father of Esau. So, like, when they started populating the earth, I mean, they kind of.
He the granddaddy. The granddaddy of Esau.
Yeah, the granddaddy Esau. You know what I mean? Like they kind of tight knit. Like they kind of.
The great granddaddy of Esau.
I agree with you. I said.
No, I just said granddaddy, but it's the great. Isaac is the granddaddy.
Isaac and Jacob, you're right.
No, he's the granddaddy. Isaac is the daddy of Isaac and Jacob, and then Abraham is the granddaddy of Isaac, of Esau and
You know
Jacob.
what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, like we look on the map, we can see how all of them are kind of in the same region. Like Israel is at the top. They got that land up there. Esau ain't got his own land, the land of Edom. If you pull up a map, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll see Moab right there. And then you got Ammon right there. You know what I'm saying? So, and they say Moab was like a relative of Israel. And we was in conflict a lot with the Moabites as well. So I'm kind of seeing like how it was kind of easy to come up with a conspiracy plan against us to put us into captivity because we weren't strangers to these people in this land. We was too close. We was like neighbors. And we was all relatives, so it's kind of easy to see how Esau went into Moab's or Ishmael's daughter, or I think are the Moabites and the Ammonites. Ishmael, he said he was a wild man, so he probably had a lot of seeds, a lot of everything. He probably was born crazy anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
He was rich.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, he was definitely rich.
He got oil and all. He looked like he could look under there and see how rich he is.
Mm-hmm.
So Esau probably looked at that like, you know what? I'd be a fool not to ally with this guy over here. So let me go ally with cuz over here, and then get back at Israel because they snaked me on my blessing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just on my forensic science stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that analyze those.
But I know when I seen that map, man, they was like all tight knit, especially when you talking about how they conspirated against us and like, you know what I mean, on the East Coast, because like, that's what the wilderness gonna be. You know what I mean? In they land, so yeah, I can see that.
Let's go to Genesis 25. We ain't got 25. That's too early. Let's go to
I don't know why I read Esau going to Ishmael, but I know I read it, so I know it's in there.
Yeah, it is. He told Jacob not to go to.
And I'm going to him, but Esau like forget that. It was kind of right after he gave him blessings too.
Mm-hmm.
He was pissed. Esau like forget this, bro. My daddy don't know what the hell he talking about.
I know something about the Dukes. Hold on. The Dukes. $36. Genesis 36. No, I think, well, we'll see. We're going to see it right here. 36 is Esau's lineage. Let's go ahead and read it. 36 and verse 1.
Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan.
So it was the Canaanites.
Ada, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. And at Holabima, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite.
Check this out, verse 3.
And Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebojath, and Ada bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Ruel.
So he went into both daughters of Canaan, and Ishmael gave him his daughter. Go ahead, verse 5.
And Holabima bare Jeush, and Jalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan.
Go ahead.
And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and all his beasts and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob.
Go ahead.
For their riches were more than that they might dwell together. And the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle.
Keep reading.
Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Mount Seir, exactly. Esau is Edom. Mount Seir. But what is saying, verse 9?
And these are the generations of Esau, the father of Edomites, in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife, and Esau, Ruel, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau. And the son of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the sons of Ruel, Nahath, and Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Aholibama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon.
Skip down to 15. The dukes.
These were dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau.
And dukes,
Duke.
Dukes just mean like tribal leaders. That's all it means. But keep going. What is it? What is that?
Okay, Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, and Duke Kenaz.
So is it safe to say, my bad, is it safe to say that the, let's say, the pigment imagination or...
You gotta talk in the mic.
Is it safe to
You might well sit on this road with your Bible, bro. Yeah, you gotta go find some batteries. I don't know.
You might tell this man to get some batteries. So
Go
it's
ahead
safe
and
to
get him some tire money.
Not tired today, nigga. So it's safe to say, you made me forget the fact
Pigmentation, something
Esau's. You look at our skin. You say we smooth skin, dark skin with melanin. Canaanites is Hamites, so they dark skin. But Ishmael, I don't really know.
They call Ishmael, I'm saying niggas over there.
Yeah, so they kind of light skin, we could say. So with him going into the dark skin and the Ishmaelites, we could kind of draw up like a pigmentation of how his seed would really look. Because we ain't really mixed with other nations. We did, but we ain't do it so often. And like when you read into Esau, though, you can kind of see like it ain't the white man. It ain't Japheth. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the Ashkenaz.
That's why I was reading
that's the point I'm making up.
Yeah,
Like you can
that's why I was
tell
reading it.
Esau ain't the white man because he's sleeping with Africans and Arabs. So 9 times out of 10, these people are light complected, hairy, with probably colorful eyes, probably big broad noses, nice long soft woolly hair like ours, but a little thinner. You know what I'm saying? They kind of got some features of Gentiles, but they not Gentiles. They got melanin in their skin.
I don't even think they have some features of Gentiles
Yeah.
because when they say red, you know, it don't necessarily, you know, red like how they say white people when they get mad, they just turn red. I don't see that as, you know, I just look at the fact that, huh?
Saying niggas is more close to red to me than white would be.
Yeah, for real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam would be a lot closer to red to me.
Yeah, I just see him as, you know, he didn't have no pigmentation when he came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he, you know.
No melanin.
Right. You know what I mean? Not saying that he didn't, you know, because when you look, when babies come out, they be, you know, they be light with no, you know, no real, you know,
Panther and the jaguar. I look at panther, they have melanin. That's why they fur turn black.
what's that now?
A panther, they have melanin. A jaguar don't have no melanin. So they don't turn black like a panther. Well, a panther, if you look close, they got spots on it. But because the sun and melanin in their skin, their fur get darker, so it's hard. Like you gotta really look to see their spots. I learned that this morning on the side when I was watching the wild.
Oh, so you saying a jaguar?
Does not have any melanin, but a panther does.
So, but a black panther is black. So,
Because it has melanin.
but before that, a jaguar got spots. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, jaguar got spots just like a black panther got spots. If you closely look at a black panther, you can see it has spots.
Oh, okay, because he got melanin. He got melanin. He turned dark because of.
It's hard to see his spots, yeah, and he move at night.
I got you. But you know, we reading right here is that we reading right here in this Genesis chapter 36 is that we don't see Edom mixing with the Gentiles, Japheth.
Only person you
We see him mixing with
Hey, we're not from Gentiles alone.
Canaan.
You're right with them Gentiles.
Yeah, I know. We see them mixing with Canaan and Arab. Who that?
Indians and hairy people.
I don't think they fall up under the Arabs.
They look
Yeah.
bad.
We look like Africans. Do we fall up under the Africans?
We don't look like Africans.
No, we got
No, I'm talking about Indians don't look like who? Arabs?
I ain't saying Indians, I said Indonesia. Like over there, West
that's what I'm
Indies,
talking
the
about, yeah, like
tigers
over there.
and them.
But you talking about, you said Ishmael.
Yeah, he look like Ishmael to me, the Indonesians.
So then that mean they Shem then. That mean they Shemitic.
They could be Shemitic.
And they got money.
I don't think so. But hey, you know. But that's really it. All we got on. That's all. Just showing that
So we look like Africans. We don't, man. Them niggas ugly. They ugly as hell, but I don't look like no Africans.
You know African like off the top. Like they just got that special feature. You know? This guy had to remove me out of church this week.
Well, we finna go ahead and close it out. We ain't got no questions?
Nah, I try to keep us going, but I don't know how to can't ask questions I don't answer to.
Okay.
Hey, I got a question. Let's deal with this new moon real quick.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I had to make it clear to my sister Sabrina, like I wasn't saying like the new moon being new Sabbaths and that, you know what I mean? The new moon is just something that we do as a memorial each month.
I guess you have a seat, that's Sonnal.
Hey, we about to close out in a second. I just want to add a commentation. I know we got a lot of confusion about the new moons and the feast days and the Sabbaths. If we read in Isaiah 66, if you pay attention to the scripture, you will see the commas. So you can't tie all these things together. Now,
Who you referring to?
I ain't gonna say no names. I ain't referring to nobody. Just to say Israel. So at the end of the day, new moons is just they was created for signs and seasons and times. So when we come across a new moon, it's just basically indicating that we
as you addressing what we're addressing though.
The new moon, period. New moons. We're addressing new moons.
What is it?
To me, it.
To like what's being said about the new moon.
They saying some Israelites doctrinating that the new moon is the floating Sabbath. So when you got new moon, this is the Sabbath.
Is that what Sabrina on?
No, hell no. I ain't saying that.
Oh, okay.
You saying that. I ain't saying that. And then also, this brother Jay ain't saying that, sis. And at the end of the day,
I ain't saying that either.
I was just making it clear because you bringing out names. I ain't trying to get tired of that. So at the end of the day, what I'm addressing is just to alleviate the confusion. The new moon is pointing to a new month, like Brother Elijah said, that we observed and we celebrated because it's like we coming to a new month. Now, Sabbath is weekly. You count 1 through 7. On that number 7, that's the Sabbath. And then we got the feast days, which sometimes, according to the Pentecost and from Passover, we got to count through weeks, and we may come into a new moon then, unless it's in tabernacles. So sometimes Sabbaths or feast days go. Because the new moon don't always just necessarily fall on random days. Sometimes it could fall on the Sabbath. Sometimes it could fall on the new day. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean we got to celebrate it like that. It's just a coincidence that it falls like that.
So are we dealing with the floating Sabbath?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't believe in. I don't agree with. I don't know how
so
can
that's
you keep.
What you're addressing.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know how people get a Sabbath out of a moon. Like I'm just taking simplicity.
Whenever the new moon comes, they start their first day. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they Sabbath might fall on a Sunday or it might fall on a Wednesday. Every week, they Sabbath may switch up. So if it fell, no. So let's say, okay, so for that month, no. So I'm assuming for that month, they Sabbath is gonna be every Wednesday, because all right, hey. If the new moon fall on a Tuesday, they count from Tuesday 7 days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm sorry, Monday. So from 7 days, if they new moon fell on a Tuesday, they Sabbath would be 7 days from that Tuesday. Yeah, to me it's like okay. So then the next month. Then the next month, they Sabbath might fall on a Wednesday. And then the next month, it might fall on a Sunday. You know, pertaining to they doctrine. But let's look at this Psalms 81 real quick. Psalms 81. Because you got to realize, month means moon. You know, new month. You know, so even when we're dealing with the feast of, or the tabernacle, the trumpets. When we're dealing with the memorial of blowing of the trumpets, look at what take place on the day of trumpets. Because trumpets is always going to fall on the new moon. You know, because look at what it says in Psalms 81. Psalms 81, read verse 3. Go ahead.
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
You see that? Blow up the trumpet in the new moon. Go ahead.
And the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
You see that? On our solemn feast day. Trumpets, feast day, new moon. When we get the trumpet or when we dealing with the Feast of Trumpets, that's the new month. So it's always blown up on the new moon. Let's go over to Isaiah 66 real quick. Well, not even Isaiah 66. Let's go over to Genesis 1 and 17 or 16. But we just looking at the fact that new moon means new month. So whenever we get a new moon, we start our day count within that month. That's according to how God had it set up and how we operated by keeping up with the days, time, seasons. We finna read it. Genesis chapter 1, read verse 14. Go ahead.
And God said, let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years.
So these lights that's in the firmament, they're going to be for signs, seasons, days, and years. You know, that's what you got 7 suns is going to be a month. Huh? I'm sorry, 7 suns going to make a week. What you saying? 7 suns will make a week. You know, shoot, 28, 29 of them will make a month. You know, the month, it cycles within what, 29 and a half days. So this moon that's going to rule over the night, that is what's going to give us our month. So it's a lot of other things that fall into the play of when are we coming into the new year, you know, certain, huh?
With that being said, so what if it's a cloudy day or night and they can't see the moon? So how do you know if it's a new moon or not?
It don't matter, cloudy or not, you're going to see the new moon. You're going to see the moon. On a cloudy, dark night. You're going to see a glare. I never seen a moon every night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how do you know?
But when, say it again.
It do be so much we don't even see a moon.
Okay, what that got to do with the fact that, because you got to realize how the moon cycles. It's a moon there, but certain parts of it is dark when it's exposed to us. Just because of something going on within the atmosphere, you got the light that's showing a slither of the moon, which gives you the half moon or the crescent moon. And then, so in other words, is dealing with the lighting of how you can see the moon itself actually giving you a cycle.
So the brighter the moon, the newer it is.
No, it's not that. I think it's like a dark. I think it's like a dark, because the moon orbits or it cycles around the sun.
Yeah.
So you got to realize certain parts of it is being exposed to the sunlight. We're not getting all full, all full the ways of how the moon is cycling, because of how certain parts might be dark from the location of the world that we're at when it's starting to start its rotation. So that's why you ain't gonna always see one at night, but it's one there. It's just that it's not being hit with that sun that's gonna light it up for us to see it. But what you were saying? You was about to say something?
Nah, I was just saying, like, if you look closely, you can see the moon. The full moon always there. It's just like you say, it's shrouded in darkness, but you only get slithers of it.
Yeah, because like if you look at a video of how the moon rotate around the sun, it'll show you like how you get the crescent. You know what I mean? The full moon, the new moon. The lighting is different from the full moon and the new moon. The full moon is like kind of real bright. The new moon is full, but it's not as bright. They're two different things. They're not the same. Huh?
I thought it was the full moon was like new moon cycle.
Nah.
I noticed how the moon looks.
We'll look at a video after this. It'll show you that the full moon and the new moon, their lighting is different. The full moon, when you see the full moon out,
a tannish orange kind of color, but the new moon is like whitish.
I don't recall, but when you see the full moon out, you got, I want to say maybe 15 or 10 days. I could be wrong with the days amount until you finna get a new moon. So when you see that full moon, I think you like in the middle of a month. And you finna come like, so you already don't got, you already don't got a new moon. Yeah, you already don't got a new moon, which is the new month. 15 days from that point, you're going to have a full moon. And then some days from that, you're going to... So in other words, when you see a new moon, I think it's like either maybe 10 or however many days until you finna get a new moon. But they're not the same, though. The new moon and the full moon, they're not the same. You can even look at the lighting of them. The lighting of it is not the same, you know, because each phase of the moon is giving you a time frame of when the new moon is about to embark or come in. Each phase. So like when you get a slither or a half moon, like the moon is turned at a certain angle, you know, far as in the angle of the sun is why you only getting a half moon because of the lighting that it's receiving from the sun because it's going through its orbit. So we can look at a video, man, because I probably won't explain as thorough as the video will show you. But yeah, the new moon and the full moon is not the same though. I used to always think that years ago too. I used to think that some years ago, and then
New moon is basically what the pagans call the hunter's moon.
I don't know. I never heard that.
Yeah, the hunter's moon, like that's what they call it. Like,
Oh, okay.
When it's super big, like you see it just sitting on, basically you can reach out and touch it. I know, you know.
And it lights up, and then everything light up.
Yeah.
It's good to see at night. That's when everything be lit from the moon. I have too. I've seen the moon and the sun out at the same time. I don't know. I take that back. No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about I don't know. No.
It's not Avatar.
Yeah. No.
That's what I can feel like. If I can see it during the day, it's the same one I was looking at night.
I mean, you might have more than one star.
We'll talk about other
You might have more than one star.
That's true.
Like the sun a star.
Okay, what about other Earths though? The Bible do speak about other Earths.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
That's people other
So
worlds.
why we can't have another moon?
What would be the point of having another moon?
Because there's other Earths.
But look how that
Yeah, they're different.
some of these Earths don't have no water. So that means if they don't have no water, they don't have no exposure to the sun or the moon.
They live in Earths then.
Say it again.
Well, I don't know. That's beyond my understanding.
No, what I'm saying, I say that to say this is that they don't have water or, you know, they need,
There's no need for the moon.
exactly, you know,
Gravitational pull.
because apparently if they ain't got this on the earth, on that planet, then apparently they not getting no rays from the sun or the moon. Because if there was the need of another moon, then they would get the necessities of what they need
I
to.
know that parts of the moon have full tides and stuff like that, like these gravity pulls. Sometimes how we get our rain, so the moon pulls it from the ocean, and then
Right.
storm clouds or something like that.
That's true. Like far as you get waves. You get waves based upon the moon. All right. Back to you. Good. I don't know what that means, but anyhow. Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
I guess they call you a genius.
Nah.
They saying Jesus is a genius.
Jesus is a genius. Yeah, definitely that.
Yeah, for real, right?
That not even that. The way he had a plan in the very beginning to deliver man from death.
Yeah, bro. Hey, you know what's funny? You say that. I call myself cursing Satan. I say, damn dickhead, because I'm thinking. I thought about it. I said, man, why I look like cursing Satan? He working for God.
That's
At
it.
the end of the day, like that's how dope God is. He already knew this man was gonna come to the world and cause all this just to fulfill his purpose.
Yeah.
Let's fulfill. I said, what am I cursing this dude for? It's like we cursing God, cursing him.
Yeah, you just
It's like, are you
remind me what
doing
the chapter over this don't like Michael didn't bring a real acquisition against Satan.
Yeah, it's something about
You know what I'm talking about? And
I think that's
that's
in
when you
Titus.
said that, it reminded me of that. You know, he was held up when Gabriel was held up. You know, Michael had to come. You know.
Yeah, all that like he tripping.
Yeah, but you know, even then, he didn't like bring a real accusation, meaning like you know that's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Gotta go check this one.
Michael, the archangel, which contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses. Is that what you're talking about? Durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, "The Lord rebuked thee."
Yeah, go on somewhere. You know. Ain't got time to be fighting with you. I rebuke you. Say, go waste my time with you, bro.
Exactly.
That man crafty, bro. You gotta get saved. Crafty, bro. But at the end of the day, he still serves the true and living God just as we do. Maybe not in the faith and the want as we do, but he got to because of subjection. And the Bible do speak that man gonna look at Satan and be like, "This the man that caused the murder and beat the seed and." This one right here.
Okay.
Yep. So he gonna be broke back down.
The size of the pit.
Yep. Yep.
Like, oh yeah, we finna whoop your ass, boy. You got us in hell. We finna tell you what's up, decent.
Oh, he must be broken. He must be broken real man. But like, man, look down
Like,
at him
broken
like
down this man.
this.
Like,
This what? Yeah.
But the sad part is the Pope and the bond of militia bees gonna be in there.
Oh, they're gonna be first. They're gonna be the first two in there.
I'm like, no one what the Pope thought when he read that concept.
They're gonna be in 1,000 years before
I'm saying hell before Satan.
Like,
You might wanna come out. That's probably why a lot of Popes probably back out. You know what? I'm gonna pass this torch, bro. I don't know who this talking about, but this ain't gonna be me.
Yeah.
Like when that one cardinal stepped down before his term, that's what maybe he probably came across that script like, oh, oh, religious leader.
See, what the thing is, you just sitting there watching them two, first one and late, just watching them fry.
Yeah, it can't die. It got a big old worm.
Like, oh, man.
I don't want that to be me, bro.
That's
I'm
crazy.
ready to clean the fear of the kingdom before I be in hell. I don't care.
Man, let's go ahead and close out. Nobody got nothing else.
I got a lot more, but for time's sake, I'll wait for next week.
Okay, what you got?
Man, bro. Sure. I don't know if we can read this though.
What you got?
If Adam had multiple wives. That's not a real. That's not a real.
You ain't got nothing else though?
Nah, I ain't got nothing else. I see how you was thinking on that, but we will get into the spiritual conversations.
Yeah, you might. I mean, we can't read it.
That's a Bible.
Yeah, we can only read that. We can only read that he had Eve. She was the mother of all living. Yeah, that's what it says. So, you know, if they ain't got nothing online or, cause we don't, then we'll go ahead and close up shop. It's on you, brother.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come.
thy will be done
Thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom
and the power, and the glory. In Jesus' name,
in Jesus' name.
amen.